Alrighty. Hello everyone. I'm Calvin, and you are welcome to Tokenize this. And on this episode, I have my partner in crime, Moody. Moody, you wanna say hi?
Hey everyone, great to be here. This is the first episode of Tokenize This, and we're super excited to bring this podcast your way. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Talking about podcasts. This is my second attempt doing a podcast. We've done one before. I think, but this is the first one we're both doing together. So it's like the first of many. So why are we here? Why are we doing this faceless podcast? Why are we? What I was trying to talk about, So I feel like there's a lot of hype around podcasts out there. Sometimes when you think about doing a podcast, you feel like not again another podcast. But I feel like we have something interesting to talk about on this show, and that's why we're here. So, like I said, I'm Kelvin. Just a little bit about myself, a little background. Worked in finance and media. Built a few products in fintech and in on the blockchain as well. I like to say that I am very, very interested in building things. My passion is in building, not just building, but sustaining, right? Ensuring that we get to revenue, building businesses like it should be built, not just building product, but like end to end, from the beginning to when it gets successful as a business. That's where I'm really passionate, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, so great one, Kelvin. Talking about what I love doing. So I love building in the blockchain. I have a couple of experiences, over half a decade building payment infrastructure and blockchain infrastructure for NFTs and payments. So it's just been like a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of learning processes that we've had to go through, building, breaking, introducing products to new audiences and people all over the world. So it's really exciting to see people from the US, from the UK and Netherlands and Asia, Africa just come together and use our product. So it's been a very amazing experience and really humbling experience as well. So I think that's really part of my story.
Yeah, great. So before we dive right into the conversation, we'll talk about Tokenize. Why Tokenize this? So BTC crypto to Real World Assets Tokenization. So the concept of tokenization is one that has been around for many years, but hasn't really taken root. And we think it's the next phase of crypto, how we'll be relating with crypto, being able to tokenize a real world asset in the crypto space and bring crypto into the real world space by taking a token and making it, have some sort of connection with a real live subject or an object, right? It could be a house, it could be real estate, it could be gold, it could be silver, it could be whatever item is of value out there. And today we're focusing on real estate because that's our bread and butter on this conversation. I know you've done some investments with real estate recently. You bought a few landed properties, so you kind of have that experience, right? For me, I have not done a lot of investment. I've bought a few landed properties myself, but I've not done a lot of investments. So that's one of the things that's very common in real estate investments, where you need to have like a large sum to do real estate investment. You need to have bulk cash. And over the years, there has been a lot of products that have come that have been put out there in the market to ensure people get access to real estate investments. Mortgages, fractional real estate ownership, right? While these are really good and they're really working, we feel like there needs to be a little bit more innovation in this space, right? That's why we're talking about it. And again, we see that in the real estate market is very illiquid. What that means is there's not a lot of money moving there. There's a lot of money being put in there. It just stays there. It doesn't move as often as against crypto, Bitcoin. It's very liquid. It's a lot of money moving cash there.
Yeah.
Right. So both markets are they have very opposite characteristics. Where one is not so liquid, is very stable in the sense that aside inflation, it's you're kind of if you know what you're doing in real estate, you have an asset that you can always liquidate at the end of the day, right? And sometimes it also grows with inflation. If you understand what I mean. Aside that, if you're not doing the wrong, if you're not breaking any rules, or you've not gone to shady real estate agents, you're fine. But in crypto, you can do all the right things and you lose your money because it's highly volatile. So one of them is not very liquid, the other one is very liquid. One of them is very stable, the other one is very unstable and volatile. So they can actually help each other out where you have a lot of money, you can put it here. You have a lot of money can put it here, but it's like trying to serve two masters. It doesn't really work. How can you do real estate and do crypto at the same time? That's basically why we're talking about tokenization. How does this work? There's a lot of mechanics around it and how it should work. But let's talk about meme coins, Moody, right? That's the angle of volatility that we're talking about in this space. So how much have you lost in meme coins, Moody?
I've lost a lot of money in meme coin. Like you said, investing in liquid assets. I mean, I wish I had the knowledge to invest in maybe fractional real estate, or maybe just getting like a piece of property in my local area. Well, I lost a lot of money, right? I can't even say how much I've lost, but yeah, this is why we're doing this, to actually educate people. I mean, if you're gonna invest money in meme coins, it should be something you're willing to lose, something you're comfortable losing, while you're getting or using like the huge chunk of money into real estate, fractional real estate, or properties. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So what about if you lost anything in meme coins? Do you really
anybody who actually does crypto has lost a lot of money, especially in meme coins, right? You put a lot of money in coins and you say, okay, it's gonna do so well. I think one of the things that really drives us is the greed. We get greedy. There's this meme coins. I really don't see meme coin season coming back like it did in 2022.
We're seeing some good numbers on Solana.
We're seeing some good numbers there, but I don't really see it coming back because it was just driven by greed, but I think the volatility still remains there, even if we may not have that kind of season anymore. Some analysts have said we may not have a bull market like we used to have anymore, and I want to kind of believe them, but I don't think it will. It's going to be as bad as they have suggested or as they have declared it to be. Like, no, there will be no bull market like we used to. The bull runs are going to be very short. But I feel like it's just all about balance, actually, right? We need to kind of be balanced in how we project and how we execute our investment portfolios, right? So, the whole question about meme coins, properties, real estate, it's sensational. The reason is because for real estate, people who are more mature, who have kind of gone through some sort of investing in their life over time, will probably be very comfortable doing real estate investment because it's dirty and boring, right? And on the other hand, crypto, Bitcoin, it's very it's very now. It's kind of interesting, it's edgy, it has that vibe of you're doing your cool, right? So I like to say here that real estate is boring until you add Bitcoin. So how do we add Bitcoin into real estate? I was having a conversation with someone, and I told them I don't think real estate Bitcoin should be an asset for the exchange of value for services or products. That I think Bitcoin should be more of a store of value that should be used for that should be exchanged for something even much better, right? I'll say for let's say gold for instance. If you go to the supermarket, you don't go and pay in gold, you pay in naira. So what or in USD? So what people will do is they have gold, they sell the gold, they get in large sum, then you take out of that sum and go to the supermarket. So I see a lot of initiatives trying to push the whole idea of Bitcoin being used. So you go to the club, you buy a few bottles, then you pay with Bitcoin. You go to a restaurant, you eat and pay Bitcoin. I think it's ridiculous. So I think it's ridiculous because that's something that really has the potential to grow. It's shown that it actually does grow over time. So you want to keep it. It's like taking gold and like I mentioned, taking a box of gold. You're going to restaurants, you've eaten and you just give them gold. And you're eating here, you give them gold. You go to the market, you give them gold. You go to the store to buy some fashion items and you pay in gold. It's really stupid. So that's the way Bitcoin is. So I see a lot of startups saying you can pay for real estate, old-fashioned real estate with your Bitcoin. I mean, it's the same thing to me. Why would you sell your Bitcoin to buy a house? Why would you sell your Bitcoin? You mentioned instead of putting all that money in a meme coin, you should have taken a large sum and invested in a real estate property. But there's that greeting you that says, do not invest all these monies in real estate property because the growth rate for these investments are not as high, right? The returns are not as high as they are for meme coins and crypto itself. So you want to play safe. How do you play safe, right? So that's what we're talking about. So would I start like just give us like a little overview on what Real World Assets Tokenization mean? Explain to me like I'm 5.
Amazing. Everything you said so far, they have been amazing. Especially when you gave the analogy about Bitcoin. Right. I think that is really cool because let's go back to 2010. You took 10,000 Bitcoin and you bought 2 packs of pizza. I mean, looking at the growth rate of Bitcoin today, you would say, oh boy, that was a lot of waste, right? But these moments are actually pivotal to making Bitcoin like mainstream. But what you said totally makes sense, and it's very correct. I think we should keep our Bitcoin. I think we should use our Bitcoin for things that are much more valuable, other than just spending it casually on things that we could use fiat for, right? So, what is Real World Asset Tokenization? So let me break it down for someone who's like 5 years old. So it could be gold itself, it could be diamond, it could be your car, it could be anything that exists in the real world. But most times we tend to put something that has real world value, right? We don't want to put something that's like, except it's something that has maybe it has some value to you as a person, maybe something that has to do with your father, your grandfather, with your cultural heritage, right? But naturally on the mainstream, one of the core things we do is gold, diamond, real estate. So I'll be using real estate as an example. So for example, you take a piece of real estate and we say this piece of real estate is $500,000, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to tokenize this real estate by creating a version of this real estate on the blockchain, right? So we could create a version and say, okay, this real estate or this property now exists on the blockchain, and we could create maybe 1 million tokens. We could create 100 million tokens and say this 100 million tokens together represent the value of this property in real life, right? So when I send you 500 of the 1 million token, you own 500 worth of the real estate. So you kind of own parts of the real estate. So just think about it like you own like a room, or maybe you own like a storage room in the property, right? That's just like a little example. So it's something that's really crazy. I mean, we could actually tokenize this podcast and call it a Real World Asset Tokenization. So I think we're still in the place where things could really explode for Real World Asset Tokenization. But starting with real estate, this is like the early stage, and let's see how it goes, because I think it's really going to be amazing. So do you have any other thing you will add? Do you think you can maybe explain it to someone who's probably like 2 years old?
Yeah, right. I think you said it all, right? Real world asset tokenization, it involves taking, I think I mentioned this before while we started the podcast. So I'm thinking how I'm going to break this down will be very simple. So, the whole concept of the blockchain and crypto is, having a token on the blockchain, right, that is immutable. So that concept, we understand that concept already. Now, how do we take an asset, for instance, a car, a house, gold? It could be whatever it is. It could be scarce resources. Then do a representation of that online, right? Through the blockchain, creating a token that represents that, and peg the value of that asset in real life. The value of a car, for instance, value of a house. Then you say this is the value. So whatever the value of that house is, or that car, that will be the value of that real estate.
Yeah.
Of that token, right? So a good example of this will be shares. A company is probably, you said this company is worth $300,000, for instance. Then you go online and you buy shares. So whatever that so the shares, the number of the numbers on the amount of shares that you buy is determined by the performance of the company. So if the company is doing well, the shares, they kind of soar. So that's the simplest example I can give. So that's basically the opportunity that exists with tokenizing real estate and other real world assets, right? So we think that tokenizing real estate can make real estate fun and can bring more people to investing in it, because, like I mentioned, there's a lot of money in crypto, a lot of liquidity there, but a lot of people are just doing a lot of gambling online, just trying to double this money. People are losing money. So a lot of money has been lost within the crypto space, and a lot has been earned. A lot of people have made a lot of money, but more people have lost a lot of money, because they really trade and make a lot of money using the crypto and tokens. You need a lot of education. You need to understand the market and do a lot of analysis. Well, a lot of people don't understand this, right? These same people, when you think about real estate, what comes to mind is, I need to have like $1 million or £100,000, to be able to buy a house. It just sounds like a lot of documentation, a lot of legal maneuvering that you have to do to be able to get the right documentations, like I mentioned before. So the legislation around it can be a little bit complex. That's the best way to put it, right? Yeah. So because of this, people are just kind of shy away from doing that. And again, we mentioned, why would you take your Bitcoin that is probably going to be worth maybe 2x in the next couple years, and put it in a house that will be worth 1.5x in the next 5 years or 10 years, right? You feel like you're shooting yourself in the foot. So that's why we came up with Bitrest. You want to tell us about Bitrest?
Yeah, so let me just say a couple of things before you chime in. So Bitrest is a platform that we're building that allows anybody basically from all around the world, to bring up your Bitcoin. I mean, you have your Bitcoin, you're a big believer of Bitcoin, or you're probably just a grandma somewhere, you have no experience with Bitcoin. You find a way to buy Bitcoin. So, but the idea is don't just keep the Bitcoin in your storage wallet, just gathering dust. The idea is to bring your Bitcoin to the platform and get rental income, right? So
Yeah.
you'll be staking your Bitcoin on the platform, getting rental income, and you're going to be getting rental income for a period of time. And we're creating a system that is totally decentralized, where anyone from all around the world can bring their Bitcoin and earn rental income. And the beautiful part is that you can actually pull out your Bitcoin anytime on the decentralized market. People are going to buy up your shares of the real estate, basically. So do you want to chime in and say something?
Wait. You mentioned that you can get you people can actually take that investment out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can actually invest. So yeah. So that's the point. And that's what we're trying to do with Bitrest. So this problem is a problem a lot of people are actually getting interested in solving. I think Grant Cardone came up with an offering sometime within a year as soon as Trump became president. But I've seen a lot of attempts to either tokenize or to collateralize Bitcoin. What we're doing at Bitrest is a combination of tokenization and collateralization, right? So there are two different things. Tokenization is the first step that we're taking. Collateralization will come later. Collateralization basically is taking your Bitcoin and basically leveraging it to get fiat for real estate in this case. While that's a very wonderful approach, right? But the market is not ripe for it. You need to get a lender, you need to get a mortgage, but the rates out there are crazy. There's no realistic product for that. We've spoken to a lot of partners, potential partners, and core companies that we haven't seen anything that realistic. I wouldn't advise anyone to go with what anybody has in the market. It's all just, or for me, it's just going to kill you, right? But what we're building is something that will then be like a springboard to then build collateralization properly for people within Bitcoin. We will start with a real world asset tokenization. So taking real estate, tokenizing it, while you can then invest in that. You can invest right into this tokenized real estate that we have put on the blockchain. Then you get rental yields. You can then take that investment and say, okay, I want to sell it. I want to get my money back, and everyone is happy at the end of the day. That's basically what we're trying to do at Bitrest.
Amazing. I mean, you said it all, right? So I think we're one of the first people to build something like this. I mean, the idea of building a platform where people can put in liquidity, it's like an interesting idea that lots of people have played around with. But like using Bitcoin as a store of value in exchange for a stake or a share in real estate is something that is, in my perspective, really transformational. Because one thing we could do at this rate is we could actually give people, while you could either just sit on the bench and have your Bitcoin in the cold storage, or you could actually put your Bitcoin on the platform and you're earning rental income. And at the end of the season, you get your Bitcoin back. So let's assume that you put in like let's say 4 Bitcoin, which is about, let's say, 400K. You put it on the platform, right? And you get your Bitcoin back. While let's say you get your Bitcoin back 4 years later, let's say you keep your Bitcoin on the platform for 4 years, and that's like an halving. So you get your Bitcoin back in 4 years at almost double the value, or whatever the percentage increase is at that time. You get your Bitcoin with the increase, and you also get rental income versus someone who just puts your Bitcoin in a cold storage. So you're actually letting your Bitcoin work for you, right? This is really like an amazing way to do it. So do you want, Kelvin, do you want to talk about like what the Bitcoin does and how we ensure that they keep making liquidity or getting rental income from the Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. So rental income, liquidity. So we have So there's the concept of rehypothecation, where your assets are taken then used for activities that kind of bring more yield. So no rehypothecation, but within the system itself, the real estate is a product itself that makes money. That's what Moody just talked about. So it brings income back to us, and out of that we kind of give you something out of it. As also, you are able to then say, okay, I have this real estate, fractional real estate that I bought from Bitrest, right? But I want to, and I've bought this fractional real estate for $2,000 worth of Bitcoin, but I need some quick cash right now. I'm going to pay back. So you can take a loan from that, right? You can take maybe 500 worth of that $2,000, and we have the real estate. That would then be your collateral, right? So by the time you pay back, you can have all the full ownership coming back to you. So I think it's going to change the way people invest with Bitcoin. So you're not losing your Bitcoin. You could keep your Bitcoin in a cold wallet, and she's just there. You could put it there, and there's an emergency, you just really go there, take it, convert it to fiat. You do what you need to do. It's not process to getting the money back. But when you've invested in something, you've not invested it so that you've lost it and you get the returns back. No, you've invested it so that you have not lost it. You are getting returns back at the end of the tenure. The Bitcoin comes back to you at the current value, meaning if you put a Bitcoin in today and Bitcoin is worth $100,000, and you take it back in 4 years and it goes up to $155,000, you get that value at $155,000 plus. For instance, you have invested in a real estate project in Bitcoin, so you are getting $150 as weekly payment, plus all that is accrues, and that's your ROI, and it's just amazing. This is what investment is going to look like within the real estate space and within the crypto space. It's going to be a lot of real world assets tokenization, and people will be doing a lot. So I think it's something that we're excited to build, and we're honored to be doing this.
Blaine, it's amazing, the whole business model. I think it's something that the people should be looking forward to. So I was going to ask, so what's the catch? I mean, I'm getting my BTC back. I'm putting in my BTC. I'm getting some rental income. And at the end of the season, or anytime I just feel like liquidating, I could sell off in the marketplace. But what's the catch? Like, what's the catch? Don't you think this is like too good to be true?
It's not a good to be true, because it is actually good, and it is true. It is very doable. The mechanics are quite good, and the resources out there to get it done is really good. So what I'll say is too good to be true today is BTC collateralization is too good to be true today. The rates are mad. I wouldn't advise anybody or encourage anybody to do it right now. The mortgage guys, the lending guys are all out there to cut your throat. But for real world asset tokenization using real estate, it is actually doable. It is possible, right, to get it done, and it makes common sense. It's pure math. It's simple math.
And also, I think one of the ways we're going to ensure security on the platform is by making use of smart contracts, allowing us to finalize transactions on BTC, from people building real infrastructure to finalize smart contract technology on Bitcoin layer on. We are going to ensure that Bitrest has an absolute or a total decentralized way of managing the resources in such a way that every user has access and they can actually, see their resources in real time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it's been a wonderful time chatting and talking about what we're doing at at Tokenize States. We have a more interesting episodes coming. We'll be talking about what we're doing at Bitrest. So we're going to be talking with some very cool and interesting people as well who are currently building or have built or have intentions to build on Real World Assets product. But before we go, we're just saying anticipate what's coming. There'll be a lot more episodes on this topic, which we've started. Real estate is a huge market. It is a big market. It's an interesting market. The size of real estate of the real estate market is over 3.7 trillion as of today, and it's kind of waiting. It's ripe and waiting, and say, come. Crypto, I think it will also drive crypto adoption because it's going to be a more stable way to invest. Because people changing their fiat into crypto to invest in real estate platforms once this goes live. So well, we're happy to hear from you. If you have any questions, please shoot us an email at hello@bitrest.xyz. I'll put that again, hello@bitrest.xyz. What do you have any last words?
So while we await the release of Bitrest, I would want everyone to follow us on social media, follow our LinkedIn page, follow us on X. You're going to see the social media link on the post. So make sure you follow us, follow our personal pages as well, so you can stay updated to every detail that concerns Bitrest.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. See you on the next episode. I remain Calvin. Bye.